United States is the freest place on Earth, a bastion of personal and societal freedom. For such a supposedly free nation, we sure have a lot of people behind bars. While many rights and freedoms have been stripped away over the past few decades, from freedom of the press to freedom of assembly, in this video we're going to focus specifically on the US prison system. A system that, by just about every metric, is the worst in the developed world. Let's start with some basic facts. The US has the most incarcerated people of any nation on Earth, both by sheer numbers and per capita. As of June 2020, there were 2,121,000 prisoners currently serving time in the US, and a total of over 10 million in the prison system, which includes those waiting for trial and those on parole. This number is higher than nations with vastly larger populations like China and India. It's higher than countries the US considers more authoritarian, like Russia or, again, China. It's even higher than the greatest of all boogeymen, the Soviet Union, at the height of Stalin's power. As for our per capita rating, the US incarcerates roughly 655 people per 100,000. No other OECD nation comes close. The UK sits at 140, Canada 107, France 105, Germany 77. China barely cracks 150. All the countries the US likes to cast as authoritarian hellholes, every single one of them incarcerates fewer people and often in far more humane facilities. The US represents 4% of the total world population, but 22% of the world's prison population. When you talk about prison and prisoners, all the racists tend to come out of the woodwork and say things like, well, those other places are all one race, and immigrants are just inherently criminal. Of course, these statements have no basis in reality. Among roughly equally diverse nations and countries with similarly sized immigrant populations, our incarceration rate is still vastly higher in every case. We also need to remind these people that white people go to jail too. They're just let off the hook far more frequently than any other race. But we'll get to that later. Now that you have an idea of just how much of an obsession we have with locking people up,